Have you ever found yourself in a situation that tested your boundaries, your principles, and maybe even your heart? Today's story might just leave you breathless until the very end. If you're enjoying these real-life tales of unexpected connections and moral dilemmas, hit that like button and subscribe to catch more stories that will make you question what you would do in someone else's shoes. The hotel lobby gleamed with polished marble and soft lighting, but all I could focus on was the receptionist's apologetic expression. "I'm so sorry, Ms. Reynolds, but we only have one room left due to the conference. There was a booking error in our system." I glanced at Marcus, my project manager who had driven us 3 hours through a snowstorm to make this crucial client meeting. His face showed the same exhaustion I felt. "Only one room left? We're both adults, right?" I said with a nervous laugh, trying to sound professional despite the awkwardness. Marcus's eyes widened slightly before he replied, "I won't tell a soul." But something in his voice made me realize there was more to his hesitation than professional boundaries. What I didn't know then was that this one night would change everything, not just for me, but for the little girl waiting for her father to come home. 6 months earlier, I had joined Horizon Innovations as their new marketing director. At 34, I was finally stepping into the role I'd worked toward my entire career. The company was smaller than my previous workplace, but the opportunity to rebuild their brand from the ground up was too exciting to pass up. "Emma Reynolds?" A deep voice called my name as I stood in the reception area on my first day. I turned to see a tall man with kind eyes and a professional smile. His dark hair was neatly trimmed, and he wore a well-fitted navy suit that suggested attention to detail without being flashy. "I'm Marcus Chen, project manager for the tech division. I'll be showing you around today." His handshake was firm but not overpowering. There was something immediately trustworthy about him, a steadiness that made me feel at ease despite my first-day nerves. "Thanks for the rescue," I said. I was about to start introducing myself to the plants. He laughed, and I noticed the way his eyes crinkled at the corners. "The ficus in the corner is particularly judgmental. You made a wise choice waiting for human company." As Marcus guided me through the office, introducing me to my new colleagues, I appreciated his thoughtfulness. He seemed to know everyone's name, their role, and something personal about them that made each introduction warm rather than perfunctory. "And this is your office," he said finally, opening a door to a bright corner space with windows on 2 sides. The previous marketing director left rather suddenly, so there might be some organizational challenges. That was an understatement. The desk was buried under stacks of folders, the whiteboard was a chaotic mess of half-erased campaigns, and the bookshelf looked like it had survived a minor earthquake. "I see potential," I said, trying to sound optimistic. Marcus smiled. "That's the spirit. The team needs someone with vision. Things have been drifting for a while." Over the next few weeks, I discovered just how much drift there had been. The marketing department was demoralized, campaigns were outdated, and our digital presence was practically non-existent. I worked late most nights, trying to make sense of the mess I'd inherited. Marcus often stayed late too, working on his own projects. Sometimes he'd stop by my office with coffee or to bounce ideas around. I found his perspective valuable. He understood the technical aspects of our products in a way that helped me translate them into marketing language. "You know, you don't have to rebuild Rome in a day," he said one evening, leaning against my doorframe. I looked up from my computer, rubbing my tired eyes. "Is that what I'm trying to do? That, or possibly driving yourself into an early grave? Either way, it's impressive but concerning." I laughed. "I just want to prove they made the right choice hiring me. Trust me, no one doubts that." His voice was sincere, and for a moment, our eyes held. Then he straightened up. "Anyway, I should head out. Lily's babysitter has an early class tomorrow." "Lily?" "My daughter," he said, and his whole face softened. "She's 8 going on 30. That was the first time Marcus mentioned his daughter, but it wouldn't be the last. Over the following months, Lily became a regular topic in our conversations. I learned that Marcus had been raising her alone since his wife died of cancer when Lily was just 4. The way he spoke about his daughter, with pride, exasperation, and boundless love, made me respect him even more. Our working relationship developed into a friendship. We made a good team, with my creative approach complementing his methodical one. The CEO noticed our synergy and increasingly assigned us to work together on key accounts. Which was how we ended up scheduled for an overnight trip to meet with Telford Industries, a potential client whose contract could transform our company's fortunes. The day before our trip, Marcus stopped by my office. "Emma, I need to ask a favor." "Sure, what's up?" "My regular sitter can't stay overnight with Lily tomorrow, and my mother-in-law who usually helps with these situations is visiting her sister in Florida. Do you need to reschedule the meeting?" I asked, already mentally calculating how that might affect our proposal timeline. "No, I've found a solution, but it's not ideal. My neighbor can watch Lily until bedtime, but then she needs to leave. Lily's old enough to sleep alone for one night, but..." I could see the worry in his eyes. "But you're not comfortable with it." "Exactly. She's never spent the night completely alone before. I was wondering if you'd mind if we drive back after the dinner meeting instead of staying overnight? It would mean getting back very late, but..." "Of course," I said immediately. "We can absolutely do that." The relief on his face was palpable. "Thank you. I really appreciate your understanding." "That's what teammates do," I said with a smile. "Besides, I'm not sure the Hotel Continental breakfast is worth missing for." The next morning, we set out early for the 3-hour drive to meet with Telford Industries. The meeting itself went well, our presentation was polished, and the client seemed impressed with our ideas. The dinner afterward ran longer than expected, with the Telford executives wanting to discuss potential expansions to the project. By the time we left the restaurant, heavy snow was falling, and the wind had picked up considerably. Marcus checked his phone with a frown. "There's a severe weather warning. They're closing some of the highways." We stood under the restaurant's awning, watching the snow swirl in the parking lot. Already, a thick layer covered our car. "Maybe we should stay the night after all," I suggested gently. "I know you're worried about Lily, but driving in this might be dangerous." He ran a hand through his hair, conflict evident on his face. "Let me call my neighbor and see if she can go back over." After a brief conversation, his expression fell. "She can't get out in this weather either." He dialed another number. "Lily? Hey sweetheart, how are you doing?" I moved a few steps away to give him privacy, but I could still hear his side of the conversation. "The snow's really bad here, honey." "I know, I promised." "Are you scared to be alone?" "That's my brave girl." "No, don't wait up, get some sleep." "I'll try my best to get home, but if the roads are too dangerous, I might have to stay here tonight." "I love you too, Lilipad." When he hung up, the worry lines around his eyes had deepened. "She says she's fine, but I can tell she's putting on a brave face." "What do you want to do?" I asked. He looked out at the worsening storm, then back at his phone. "Let me check the road conditions." After a few minutes of scrolling through traffic reports, his shoulders slumped. "They've closed the main highway due to multiple accidents. The alternate routes aren't much better." "Then we stay," I said firmly. "Lily would rather have her dad come home late but safe tomorrow than not come home at all." He nodded reluctantly. "You're right. Let me call the hotel and see if they still have our rooms available." Which led us to this moment, standing at the reception desk, being told there was only one room left. "We could try another hotel?" I suggested, though we both knew the likelihood of finding vacancies during a conference and a snowstorm was slim. The receptionist shook her head. "I've already called around for other guests. Everything within 20 miles is booked solid because of the tech conference and the weather." Marcus pulled out his phone. Let me see if there's anything on booking apps. After several minutes of searching, he looked up with defeat. Nothing. I took a deep breath. Look, the room probably has 2 beds. We're colleagues. It's one night. We can make this work professionally. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. You're right. It's just. Just what? Nothing. Let's take the room, he told the receptionist, handing over his credit card. As we rode the elevator to the 5th floor, an awkward silence fell between us. We'd spent countless hours together in the office, even had lunch and coffee breaks together, but somehow this felt different, a crossing of boundaries neither of us had anticipated. The room, when we entered it, was lovely, spacious and well appointed with a sitting area, desk, and large bathroom. But there was one glaring issue: a single king-sized bed dominated the space. We both stared at it for a moment. I'll sleep on the floor, Marcus said immediately. Don't be ridiculous. That bed is huge. We can share it and still maintain a professional distance. I tried to sound more confident than I felt. Besides, after the day we've had, neither of us needs a backache from sleeping on the floor. He still looked uncertain. Are you sure you're comfortable with that? Absolutely, I lied. We're both adults. It's just sleeping. The truth was, I wasn't entirely comfortable, not because I didn't trust Marcus, but because I'd become increasingly aware of him as more than just a colleague over the past months. His intelligence, his dedication to his daughter, his quiet strength, all of it had gradually worked its way under my professional armor. But I'd been careful to keep those feelings to myself. Office romances were complicated enough without adding a child to the equation. I need to call Lily again, Marcus said, pulling out his phone. Let her know I definitely won't be home tonight. I nodded. I'll go find us some snacks from the vending machine. Give you some privacy. When I returned with an armful of chips and candy, the only options available, Marcus was sitting on the edge of the bed, his expression troubled. Everything okay with Lily? I asked, dropping the snacks on the desk. She says she's fine, but I could hear it in her voice. She's scared. He looked up at me, and the vulnerability in his eyes made my heart ache. This is the first night I haven't been there to tuck her in since her mother died. I sat beside him, leaving a respectful distance. She knows you'd be there if you could. That's just it, I promised her I'd always be there. After Sarah died, Lily had such terrible anxiety about losing me too. It took months of therapy for her to be okay with me even going to work. He ran a hand over his face. I promised her I'd never leave her alone overnight until she was ready. This isn't your fault, I said gently. It's the weather. Acts of God and all that. Try explaining that to an 8-year-old who's alone in a dark house during a snowstorm. I thought for a moment. Does she have a tablet or computer at home? Yes, why? Call her back on video. We'll stay connected all night if that helps. She can fall asleep knowing she can see and hear you anytime she wakes up. The relief that washed over his face was immediate. That's brilliant. Thank you. He immediately called Lily back and set up the video connection. I moved away to give them privacy, busying myself with organizing my things for the morning. Lily, I want you to meet someone, Marcus said after they'd talked for a while. He gestured for me to come into frame. This is Emma, my colleague I've told you about. I sat beside him and waved at the screen. A small face with Marcus's dark eyes and a serious expression looked back at me. Her long black hair was pulled into a messy ponytail, and she wore pajamas covered in stars. Hi, Lily. Your dad has told me so much about you. He talks about you too, she said, with a directness that made me glance at Marcus. His cheeks colored slightly. All good things, I hope, I said lightly. He says you're super smart and have good ideas. And that you like the same weird music he does. I laughed. Well, he's right about the music. The jury's still out on the smart part. Dad says the jury came back a long time ago on that. Marcus cleared his throat. Okay, enough about what Dad says. Have you brushed your teeth, Lillipad? We chatted with Lily for nearly an hour, and I was impressed by her maturity and wit. She was clearly her father's daughter, thoughtful, observant, with the same quiet strength I'd come to admire in Marcus. By the time she started yawning, I felt like I'd known her for years rather than minutes. I think it's bedtime, sweetheart, Marcus said gently. Can you leave the video on? Lily asked, her voice suddenly smaller, reminding me that despite her maturity, she was still just a child alone in a house. All night, Marcus promised. I'll put the tablet right here on the nightstand, and you can see me anytime you wake up. Okay. She hesitated. Dad? I'm sorry you got stuck because of me. Hey, this is not because of you. It's because of the snow. And I'm not stuck, I'm safe. That's what matters. After Lily was settled in bed, with her own tablet propped up on her nightstand, Marcus set up his tablet on our nightstand, angled so she could see him if she woke up. Thank you for that, he said quietly as we both prepared for bed. She liked you. She's amazing, I said sincerely. You've done an incredible job with her. He smiled, but there was sadness behind it. I'm trying. Some days I feel like I'm failing her completely. From what I just saw. You're not failing. Not even close. We took turns using the bathroom to change. I was grateful I'd packed pajamas, modest ones, thankfully, not the old t-shirt I usually slept in. When we finally got into bed, we both stayed carefully on our respective sides, a good 2 feet of mattress between us. Good night, Emma, Marcus said, his voice soft in the darkness. Good night. Despite my exhaustion, sleep eluded me. I was acutely aware of Marcus's presence beside me, the sound of his breathing, the faint scent of his cologne. The professional boundaries we'd maintained for months suddenly seemed paper-thin. I must have eventually drifted off, because I woke sometime in the night to the sound of Marcus's voice, low and soothing. It's okay, Lillipad. I'm right here. It was just a dream. I kept my eyes closed, not wanting to intrude on the private moment, but I could hear Lily's frightened voice through the tablet. I dreamed you weren't coming back, like Mom. Oh, sweetheart. I'm always coming back to you. Always. Promise? I promise with all my heart. There was a pause, then Lily's voice again. Is Emma still there? I felt Marcus shift beside me. Yes, she's sleeping. She's nice. Mom would have liked her. Another pause. I think so too. Do you like her, Dad? Like her? I held my breath, feeling like an eavesdropper but unable to announce my wakefulness now without embarrassing everyone. That's a complicated question, Lillipad. Why? You either do or you don't. Marcus sighed. Yes, I like her. But it's not that simple when you're a grown-up. Because of me? No, never because of you. Because, sometimes people aren't looking for the same things. And when you work with someone, it can make things complicated. Mom always said complications were just opportunities wearing disguises. Marcus's soft laugh warmed something in my chest. She did say that, didn't she? Your mom was very wise. So maybe Emma is a complication that's really an opportunity? Maybe. Now go back to sleep, philosopher. It's the middle of the night. Okay. Love you, Dad. Love you more, Lillipad. I lay still, processing. I lay still, processing what I'd just heard. Marcus liked me, liked me, as Lily had put it. The knowledge sent a flutter through my chest that I hadn't felt in years. I waited until I was sure Lily had fallen back asleep before I allowed myself to shift slightly. "Emma?" Marcus whispered. "Are you awake?" I considered pretending to be asleep, but something told me this moment mattered. "Yes," I whispered back. "How much of that did you hear?" "Enough," I admitted. "I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt." The silence stretched between us, filled with unspoken words. Finally, Marcus sighed. "Well, this is embarrassing. Being outed by an 8-year-old. I turned to face him in the darkness. I could just make out his profile in the faint light from the tablet screen. "Is it true?" I asked softly. He was quiet for so long I thought he might not answer. "Yes," he finally said. "But I understand if you don't feel the same way. And I would never want it to affect our working relationship. What if I told you I've been fighting the same feelings for months?" I heard his sharp intake of breath. "Have you?" "Yes. But I was afraid of complicating things. You have Lily to consider, and office relationships can be messy, Anne. And complications are just opportunities wearing disguises?" There was a smile in his voice. I laughed softly. "Your late wife sounds like she was very wise." "She was." His voice grew serious. "Sarah would have wanted me to be happy. To find someone who could make both Lily and me happy. But it's been just the two of us for so long, I wasn't sure I remembered how to do this." "Do what?" "Open my heart again. Take a risk." I reached across the space between us and found his hand in the darkness. "I'm scared too," I admitted. "But maybe we can figure it out together." Slowly. His fingers intertwined with mine. "I'd like that." We fell asleep that way, holding hands across the mattress, with Lily's peaceful breathing coming through the tablet beside us. The storm cleared by morning, and we made it back to the city by early afternoon. Marcus invited me to come with him to pick up Lily, and the way her face lit up when she saw both of us at her door made something shift in my heart. Over the following weeks, we took things slowly. Our first official date was a Saturday afternoon at the zoo, with Lily as our enthusiastic chaperone. Our first kiss came later, after Lily had gone to bed following a movie night at Marcus's house. There were challenges, of course. Navigating a relationship while maintaining our professional dynamic took effort. There were moments of jealousy from Lily, times when she tested boundaries to see if I would stay. There were my own insecurities about stepping into a family that had been complete without me. But there were beautiful moments too. The first time Lily took my hand without prompting. The evening Marcus told me he loved me while we washed dishes side by side. The Saturday morning I taught Lily how to make my grandmother's pancakes, and the three of us ate breakfast in our pajamas. 6 months after that snowstorm night, Marcus proposed. Not with a grand gesture, but with Lily by his side, both of them holding the ring box together. "We both want you to be part of our family," he said, his eyes shining. "If you'll have us." Lily nodded solemnly. "Dad says you make his heart happy again. And you make mine happy too." How could I say anything but yes? Our wedding was small and perfect. Lily stood beside her father as his best daughter, as she insisted on being called. And when we exchanged vows, we included promises not just to each other, but to her as well. Sometimes I think about that night in the hotel, when one room and a snowstorm changed the course of 3 lives. How the universe conspired to bring together two people who might otherwise have continued to hide their feelings behind professional smiles and careful boundaries. And I think about what Marcus said that night, "I won't tell a soul." But some secrets are meant to be revealed. Some boundaries are meant to be crossed. And sometimes, what looks like a complication is really the beginning of the most beautiful opportunity of all. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of unexpected love and family. Remember that sometimes life's detours lead us exactly where we're meant to be. Share in the comments a time when an unexpected situation changed your life for the better. I'd love to hear your stories too.